Okay, so check this out. This is a NAD, a NAD 7140 stereo receiver. It was brought into me. Steve, it seems that the balance control is the problem. Probably needs cleaning. Please be careful not to remove the numbers on the back of the chassis. These tell me what goes where. And so he's made some notes back here as to where the plugs go on the unit. So I'm wondering, does he use the radio or an auxiliary input? I have an antenna connected to it right now, and I'm not getting any audio out of it whatsoever. Nothing on AM, nothing on FM. But, did you hear that? That's the speaker selector switch. I'm moving it from A to B. I've got speakers connected to A right now. It does show a tuner display, both on AM and on FM, but no matter what I do, I never get any audio out of the speakers. I think there's a small DC offset, which is why when I move the speaker selector switch, I get static. The switch obviously is dirty. It needs to be cleaned slightly. When I turn the unit off and back on, I can hear when the speaker relay engages, and it does draw slightly more current. So I believe there's a small DC offset, nothing to be concerned about, however. So I'm just wondering why I'm getting no tuner audio. This might have something to do with it. Good fuse. AC input fuse good. This fuse right here is open. That's a 100 milliamp fuse. 1/10 of 1 amp. So I'm going to see if I can find a schematic on this unit and find out where that fuse goes. But before I do that, let's go ahead and give it some audio from an external source. Maybe he doesn't use the tuner. Maybe that's going to be irrelevant. So I'm going to hook up an MP3 player to it, play some audio through it, and see if the CD and auxiliary inputs work. Okay, so a couple of things. First off, the pre-out main in jumpers were missing from this unit. Now some of you may remember that a lot of older receivers had pre-out and main in case you wanted to hook up an equalizer. And they had a couple of jumpers that went in between those terminals. Well, if you take those out, the amplifier has no audio source. So I went ahead and connected an RCA cable from the pre-out to the main in. And now when I turn up the volume, I get static. But only on one channel. So yeah, the balance control is very funky. But anyhow, I have it tuned to a station, I have an antenna connected to it, and that's all I get is static right now. But if I go to the CD input where I have my MP3 player connected, I get audio. And I get it through both channels. But if I turn it to the far left, I get nothing. If I turn it to the right, I get audio. So definitely the balance control needs to have some deoxit sprayed into it. And I believe this fuse right here that's open has something to do with the tuner. So once again, I'm going to try to find a schematic and find out what that fuse does and see why would it be blown. I see the heat shrink is shrunk on this one capacitor right here. So maybe that's got something to do with it. Okay, so here is a schematic of the power supply with the 100 milliamp fuse right here, FU201, and the 315 milliamp 3/8 amp fuse right here, FU202. So if we look at this, the first thing I see is a 47 microfarad 50 volt coupling capacitor. So they're using this as a voltage doubler circuit because they're getting 35 volts after this regulator through this 36 volt Zener diode reference. Now AC voltage from pin 15 to pin 16 is only 22 volts AC. So they're using this as a doubler to try to get about 45 volts on the collector of this pass transistor, this regulator right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this board loose and we'll see if this capacitor is the one that's got the bulge to it. If that's the case, it could explain why we're having a blown fuse right here. And of course, I'll check all the other associated capacitors in the circuit as well. Okay, so 3 capacitors later and a 100 milliamp fuse. The radio is up and running. So I measured the current across this fuse, and it's about 60 milliamps when the radio is running. It does have an inrush current of about 125 milliamps, but because this is a slow blow fuse, that's of no consequence whatsoever. So I went ahead and cleaned all the controls and switches. Let's just go ahead and get it on an unused station here real quick. And then here's the balance. Right channel. Left channel, absolutely no crackle whatsoever in this case. The mode switch works absolutely perfectly at this point. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get this button back up and ship it back to my customer. Everything should be just fine. So I thought I'd show you the ESR on these old capacitors. The new ones are about 1/4 ohm. And so this one's about 1 ohm. Here's the one that had the heat shrink pulled down over it. And it's about 1 ohm as well. Then I believe this one was the coupling capacitor from the fuse, just over 1 ohm. So I don't know if it was the capacitors that was the problem. The one that had the heat shrink pulled over it was actually this one right here, C228. And its sole purpose is to have a soft start. So when this voltage comes up, it has to charge through this, I think it's a 3.3K and a 2.2K resistor, and this capacitor has like a smoothing effect on how fast this voltage comes up, so that it doesn't just dump all the voltage instantly out of this transistor. It actually brings it up slowly. So anyhow, went ahead and changed all 3 of the 47 microfarad caps in this circuit. There's one right here, one right there, and the soft start cap right there. Well, I certainly hope you enjoyed this video on the NAD 7140 stereo receiver. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave me a question, a comment, a concern down below. I try to read all the comments and respond when I have time. While you're down there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like this video. It really does help my channel grow. Remember, you can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at NorCal715. You can email me, norcal715videos@gmail.com. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really do appreciate it. Everyone have a great day. Once again, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.